Welcome to this explainer. Look, we spend a massive chunk of our day comparing things, right? We're always trying to figure out which coffee is cheaper, which commute route is faster, or which streaming show is more interesting. Well, today we are going to completely master the grammar behind all that. By the time we're done here, you're going to have a rock-solid, foolproof framework for comparative adjectives, so you will literally never second-guess yourself again. Let's get right into it.
Okay, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with comparing things, then move on to short adjectives, adjectives ending in Y, long adjectives, tackle those irregular exceptions, and wrap it all up with the final challenge.
Section 1. Comparing things. So, what exactly is a comparative adjective? Basically, it's just a word we use to compare two people, animals, places, or things. The absolute most important thing to remember here is that we are always measuring two specific things against each other. It's a head-to-head matchup. Whether you're comparing an elephant and a dog or a giraffe and a horse, the whole core function is to weigh side A directly against side B.
And that brings us to our golden rule. Saying the giraffe is tall is just stating a simple fact. But the moment we say the giraffe is taller than a horse, we're making a true connection. We use this magic word then right after our adjective. You really want to think of then as the essential bridge connecting the two things we're measuring.
Section 2. Short adjectives.
For short, single-syllable adjectives, the rule is incredibly straightforward. All you've got to do to the base adjective is attach an "er" to the end of the word. So tall just becomes taller. Small shrinks down to smaller. Fast shifts to faster, and old simply turns into older. Easy, right? Now look at how instantly those simple "er" words bring our sentences to life. Sarah is taller than Mona, or a car is faster than a bicycle. By just adding those two little letters and dropping in our gridge word than, we've created this dynamic comparison that proves exactly why taking a car beats riding a bike.
Moving right along to Section 3, adjectives ending in Y.
Now, when you stumble upon a word that ends in a Y, like happy, you can't just blindly slap an ER on the end and call it a day. There's a little trick to it. Step 1, identify that base word. Step 2, you literally chop that Y right off and swap it out for an I. Then, step 3, you tack on your ER. So happy becomes happier with an I. Seeing this in action really locks the pattern in. Happy turns to happier, giving us Ali is happier than Omar. Easy turns to easier, allowing us to say things like English is easier than I thought. And busy smoothly becomes busier, making that quick little swap from Y to I keeps all the spelling rules perfectly intact.
Okay, Section 4. Long adjectives.
I want you to imagine trying to actually say the words beautifuler or expensier. It just feels incredibly clumsy in your mouth, doesn't it? So instead of cramming more letters onto a word that's already super long, we step back. We leave the base adjective completely untouched, and we just drop the word more right in front of it.
So beautiful doesn't change its spelling at all, it just gets a helper word to become more beautiful. Expensive becomes more expensive. If you're talking about a captivating flower or a totally gripping movie, you'd elegantly say that flower is more beautiful or the movie is more interesting. It just flows so much better.
Section 5. The irregular exceptions. Because, of course, there are always rule breakers. These are our wild cards. These adjectives throw the and more rules completely out the window. You absolutely cannot say gooder or badder, just don't do it. Instead, good entirely morphs into better. Bad completely transforms into worse, and far changes to farther or further. There's no trick here, it's pure memorization. To really cement these in your brain, it helps to tie them to real-world feelings. Apples are better than chips, right? A healthy snack is always better, not gooder. And if you're just having a really rough 24 hours, you'd say, today is worse than yesterday, never better. Grounding these irregulars in your daily life will definitely make them stick. All right, Section 6, the final challenge. Let's put this into practice. We're going to do a little rapid fire practice here. A lion is blank than a cat. Your base adjective is big. Think about our very first rule for a second. Big is a short, single-syllable word. So what should this be?
Bigger. Yep, because it's short, we just add that ER. A lion is bigger than a cat. Nice and easy. Let's try another one. This test is blank than the last one. And your base word this time is good.
Now watch out for the curveball here. Think back just a couple of minutes to our rule breakers.
Better! Nailed it! Because good is an irregular adjective, it transforms completely. This test is better than the last one.
So, this perfectly illustrates our entire journey today, giving you the 4 ultimate stepping stones to comparing absolutely anything. If the word is short, just add ER. If it ends in Y, change it to IER. If it's a long word, put more in the front. And if it's irregular, you just use its special form.
But as we wrap this explainer up, we really have to highlight this one crucial takeaway from the source material. And don't forget than. None of these brilliant rules we just went over will work if you forget the most important connector word of all. Then is the literal glue holding your A versus B comparisons together.
Think about it. You are literally better at grammar than you were 10 minutes ago. Keep applying this framework to everything you read and say out loud. Every time you compare two things today, try to visualize the rule. But as you start noticing yourself making all these comparisons, I want to leave you with this thought. Do the adjectives we choose simply describe the world around us, or do they actively shape